A petite woman went to the supermarket, selected the most expensive cat food, and placed it in her shopping cart. At the checkout, she told the cashier, "I only want the very best for my tiny kitty." The cashier, looking at her skeptically, replied, "Sorry, but I need proof that you have a cat before I can sell this to you. Some elderly folks buy cat food for themselves to eat, and our manager wants to make sure it's for a pet." Undeterred, the old woman went back home, brought her cat, and returned to the store. After confirming the presence of her pet, they sold her the cat food. The next day, the same old woman returned, this time grabbing 12 of the most expensive dog treats from the shelf. The cashier, recognizing her from the day before, said, "I need to see proof that you own a dog. We've heard some old people might eat these." Slightly annoyed, the old woman went back home, fetched her dog, and showed it to the cashier. She then purchased the dog treats. On the third day, the old woman entered the store carrying a small box with a hole on top. Approaching the same cashier, she requested, "Could you please place your finger into this hole?" The cashier hesitated, worried about what might be inside. The elderly woman assured, "I assure you, nothing inside will harm you." Feeling a bit nervous, the cashier put her finger inside and immediately pulled it out, exclaiming, "This feels and smells like poop." The old woman, with a big smile, responded, "Exactly. Now, could I kindly purchase 4 rolls of toilet paper?" 2 elderly women at a nursing home were smoking outside when it started raining. To protect her cigarette, one of the ladies took out a condom, cut off the end, and placed it over her cigarette, allowing her to continue smoking. When asked about it, she explained that it prevents her cigarette from getting wet. Curious, the other lady inquired where to get them, and she mentioned any drugstore. The next day, the first lady went to the drugstore and confidently asked the pharmacist for a box of condoms. Though a bit embarrassed, the pharmacist delicately inquired about her brand preference, to which she humorously replied, "Doesn't matter, son, as long as it fits a camel." The second cowboy inquires, "What is the rodeo position?" The first cowboy explains, "You get your girlfriend down on all fours, mount her from behind, then reach around and cut both of her breasts, whispering, 'These feel just like your sister's,' and try to hold on for 8 seconds." A rabbi, contemplating retirement from his role in performing circumcisions, had amassed a collection of foreskins from the procedures he conducted. Seeking to create a special memento for his retirement, he visited a skilled leather craftsman known for working with various materials. The rabbi explained the sentimental value of the foreskins, each representing a significant moment in his life's work. The craftsman, intrigued and up for the challenge, agreed to the unique project and asked the rabbi to return in a couple of weeks. Upon the rabbi's return, he was surprised and somewhat disappointed when the craftsman presented him with a simple small wallet. Wondering why so many foreskins had been turned into just a wallet, the rabbi expressed his disappointment. The craftsman, sensing the rabbi's letdown, smiled and assured him that it was no ordinary wallet. It had a special feature. With a hint of humor, the craftsman explained that whenever the rabbi needed more space, he could rub the wallet gently, and voila, it would turn into a suitcase. At the age of 85, Robert married Jenny, a beautiful 25-year-old woman. Due to his advanced age, Jenny thought it would be prudent for them to sleep in separate rooms after the wedding, concerned that spending the entire night together might be too much for the elderly Robert. After the wedding celebrations, Jenny gets ready for bed, expecting the knocks from her husband. As anticipated, there's a knock, and in comes Robert, her 85-year-old husband, full of energy and ready for their wedding night. They become intimate, and afterward, Robert says his goodbyes and leaves Jenny to rest. However, to her surprise, only a few moments later, there's another knock. Once again, it's Robert, appearing as energetic as ever and ready for round 2. Taken aback, Jenny goes along with it. After this second round, Robert gives Jenny another loving goodbye kiss and heads to his room. As Jenny is about to drift off, she's startled by another knock. To her astonishment, it's Robert yet again, seeming as lively as a 25-year-old and ready for more. They come together once again, and after a while, as they're resting, Jenny expresses her amazement, telling him how impressed she is at his age, mentioning that some of the younger guys she's been with couldn't keep up for one round. Robert, looking a bit puzzled and shy, responds to Jenny, "Wait a minute. You mean I was here already?" A large number of viewers watch my videos without a subscription. Therefore, subscribe to my channel so as not to miss new videos with funny jokes. In the dead of night, a cunning burglar decides to break into a serene home, taking the husband and wife residing there as hostages. He commands them to sit back to back on chairs and tightly binds them, ensuring they are out of his way. With them securely restrained, he systematically begins to ransack the house, collecting anything valuable he comes across. Once he has gathered all the prized items, he prepares to make his exit, leaving the homeowners tied to their chairs. As he is about to leave, the desperate man calls out to the burglar, pleading, "Please, I beg you, untie her, set her free." The thief, devoid of sympathy, responds coldly, "No way. I can't risk untying either of you. I want to make sure the police find out as late as possible. Don't worry, though. Your neighbors will surely notice your light still on in the middle of the night and come to check on you before dehydration becomes an issue." Ignoring the burglar's justification, the man pleads once more, "Please let her go. I'm begging you. She won't call the police, I swear." The burglar maintains his stance, stating, "I can't risk my freedom. I'm sorry. I need to make a clean getaway." The frantic man edges his chair closer to the burglar and cries out, "I'm begging you, just let her go. I promise she won't call the police." Surprised by the man's desperation, the burglar comments, "Wow, you must really love your wife to beg so fervently for her release." The man in a frenzy responds, "No, that's not it. My wife will be home in 15 minutes. A young girl who had recently turned 18 was attending a party alone for the first time. Being quite pretty, she was a bit concerned about how to handle boys who might attempt to flirt with her. Her friend advised her, saying, "It's quite simple. If a boy starts talking to you, just ask him, 'What would we name our baby?' That will definitely make them run away." Taking this advice to heart, the girl went to the party. After a while, a boy started dancing with her, and as things progressed, he began kissing her and getting closer. In response, she asked him, "What do we name our baby?" The boy quickly made up some excuses and disappeared. Later, a similar situation occurred with a different boy who started kissing her neck and shoulders. She halted him and posed the same question about the baby's name, and once again he swiftly ran off. Yet again, another boy invited her for a walk, and after a few minutes, he started kissing her. When she asked, "What would we name our baby?" he didn't stop and gradually began undressing her. She repeated the question, even during their intimate encounter. Once he finished, he took off his condom, tied it into a knot, and humorously remarked, "If he gets out of this one, we'll call him Houdini." A woman comes home and excitedly tells her husband, "You know those headaches I've been complaining about for so long? They're gone now." Intrigued, her husband asks, "Really? How did that happen?" She replies, "Well, my friend Margie recommended a hypnotist. He told me to look in a mirror and keep saying, 'I don't have a headache, I don't have a headache, I don't have a headache.' And guess what? It actually worked. I'm headache-free now." Feeling happy for her, the husband says, "That's truly amazing." Playfully, the wife adds, "Lately, you haven't been too energetic in the bedroom. Maybe you should visit the hypnotist. He might have a solution for that too." Taking her suggestion seriously, the husband decides to give it a try. After his visit to the hypnotist, he rushes home, quickly undresses, lifts his wife onto the bed, and says, "Wait here, I'll be back in a moment." He dashes into the bathroom, and shortly after, he returns to the bedroom. They share a passionate moment like they hadn't in years. Breathless, the wife exclaims, "That was incredible." The husband responds, "Wait here, I'll be back again." He runs back to the bathroom. This time, the wife's curiosity gets the better of her, and she sneaks up to see her husband staring into the mirror, repeating to himself, "She's not my wife, she's not my wife, she's not my wife." The story goes that they'll be holding his memorial service this coming Friday. Little Johnny hopped on a bus one day and found himself seated next to a man deeply engrossed in a book. Johnny couldn't help but notice that the man was wearing his shirt collar the wrong way around. Unable to contain his curiosity, little Johnny asked, "Excuse me, sir, why is your collar turned backward?" The man responded gently, "Well, young man, it's because I'm a father." Confused, little Johnny retorted, "But my dad is a father too, and he doesn't wear his collar flipped like that." With a patient smile, the man explained, "You see, I'm not just a regular father. I'm a father to many, many people." Johnny, still not fully grasping the idea, replied, "Well, my dad has 4 sons, 4 daughters, and even 2 grandkids, and he's never worn his collar backward." Growing a bit restless, the father responded, "Young man, what I mean to say is I am a spiritual father to hundreds of people." Little Johnny pondered this for a moment, leaned closer and whispered, "Considering you're a father to so many, maybe it'd be wiser if you wore a condom and put your pants on backward instead of your collar." A weary Dublin businessman, after a long day on the road, arrived at his hotel in Galway. Worried that the dining room might close soon, he promptly left his luggage at the front desk and headed straight for dinner. After a relaxed meal, he returned to the front desk only to realize that he had forgotten his room number. Approaching Paddy, the clerk, he explained,
"My name is Seamus O'Flynn. Can you please tell me what room I am in?"
Paddy replied,
Certainly you're in the...
A woman walks into a tackle shop to purchase a rod and reel for her grandson's birthday. Unsure of which one to choose, she selects one and approaches the counter, where she notices a cashier wearing dark shades. Politely she inquires, "Excuse me, sir, can you tell me anything about this rod and reel?" The cashier responds, "Ma'am, I'm completely blind, but if you drop it on the counter, I can tell you everything from the sound it makes." Although skeptical, the woman drops it on the counter. The cashier confidently states, "That's a 6-foot Shakespeare graphite rod with a Zebco 404 reel and 10 lb test line. It's a good all-around combination, and it's on sale this week for only $20. Impressed, the woman decides to make the purchase. As she opens her purse, her credit card falls on the floor. The cashier remarks, "Oh, that sounds like a MasterCard." While bending down to pick up her card, the woman accidentally farts. Initially embarrassed, she realizes the blind clerk couldn't identify the source of the sound. The cashier rings up the sale and says, "That'll be $34.50, please." Confused, the woman questions, "Didn't you tell me the rod and reel were on sale for $20? How did you get $34.50? The cashier explains, "Yes, the rod and reel are $20, but the duck call is $11, and the bear repellent is $3.50. A teenage boy goes to church to confess his sins. "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I have been with a loose girl." The priest asks, "Is that you, little Tommy?" "Yes, Father, it is," the boy replied. "And who was the girl you were with?" "I can't tell you, Father. I don't want to ruin her reputation." "Well, Tommy, I'm sure to find out her name sooner or later, so you may as well tell me now. Was it Patricia Williams?" "Sorry, Father, I cannot say." "Was it Lisa Davis?" "I'll never tell," replied the boy. "Was it Kathy Odell?" "My lips are sealed, Father." "Was it Brenda Jones, then?" "Please, Father, I cannot tell you." The priest sighs in frustration. "You're very tight-lipped, and I admire that. But you've sinned, and you have to make amends. You can no longer be an altar boy until 4 months have passed. Now go and behave yourself." "Yes, Father," the boy replied. Tommy walks back to his pew and sits down. His friend Johnny slides over and whispers, "What'd you get?" Tommy grins. 4 months vacation and 4 good leads." A woman awakens in the middle of the quiet night and is surprised to find her husband absent from their bed. Concerned, she dons her robe and decides to search the house for him. Her quest leads her downstairs, and in the kitchen, she discovers her husband, sitting alone at the table with a cup of steaming cocoa in front of him. His gaze is fixed on the wall, lost in deep thought, a sight that deepens her worry. She quietly observes him, wiping a tear from his eye. Filled with a mix of concern and curiosity, she steps into the room and gently inquires in a soft voice, "What's going on, dear? Why are you sitting here all by yourself in the middle of the night?" Her husband's eyes shift from the wall and meet hers. He tells her, "You know, it's exactly 20 years today since the day we first met," with a heavy heart. Struck by emotion, she feels her own eyes welling up with tears, moved that he would remember such a detail. "I can't believe you remembered that," she responds, her voice filled with emotion. He continues with a solemn look. "Do you recall back then, 2 decades ago when we first started dating? I was just an 18-year-old young man, and you were 15, his voice brimming with nostalgia. The wife, deeply touched by his words, feels an overwhelming sense of affection for her husband, realizing how sensitive and caring he is. She sits down next to him and replies, "Yes, I remember that time." The husband seems to struggle for a moment, finding it hard to form the words as he deals with the emotions flooding back. "Do you remember that time when your father caught us together in the back seat of my car?" he asks, his voice just above a whisper, as memories of the past resurface. She nods, her voice soft and low. "I remember that too." The room falls silent for a moment before the husband exhales deeply, wiping another tear from his eye. Then, with a heavy sigh, he says, "And do you remember how he pressed the barrel of his shotgun against my face and issued me an ultimatum? He said I had to marry you right then and there, or he'd send me straight to jail for a very long time." She nods again. Her husband wipes away another tear and adds, "I would have gotten out today." One night, a woman awakens to find her husband missing from their bed. She puts on her robe and goes downstairs to discover him sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of warm, hot chocolate. He appears deep in thought, gazing blankly at the wall. Approaching quietly, she notices him wiping a tear from his eye. With a gentle whisper, she asks, "What's wrong, dear? Why are you here at this hour?" The husband looks up from his drink and reveals, "It's the 20th anniversary of the day we first met." Surprised that he remembered, she tearfully inquires, "Can you recall 20 years ago when we began dating? I was just an 18-year-old lad, and you were only 17. Deeply moved, the wife acknowledges, "Yes, I remember." The husband pauses, struggling to find the right words, then continues, "Can you recall the time when your father found us in the back seat of my car?" She softly responds, "Yes, I remember that too," settling down into a chair next to him. Continuing his reminiscence, the husband asks, "Can you recall when he pointed that shotgun in my face and said, 'Either you marry my daughter or you're off to jail'?" With a quiet voice, she replies, "I remember that as well." Wiping away another tear, he adds, "I would have gotten out today."